Hello everyone and welcome to Apex Online Racing for round 12 of the PlayStation 4 Formula 2 Championship here at the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge and I will be bringing you the action tonight from this circuit, first used in Formula 1 in 1985. It was the first circuit behind the Iron Curtain and has remained mainly unchanged since then. Just a few tweaks here and there to try and make overtaking a bit easier. It has been described as Monaco without the barriers, but hopefully we will have an action-packed race tonight. 18 minutes of qualifying followed by 35 laps coming your way. For those of you who weren't here last week for the German Grand Prix, what an exciting race we had. A race of first win of the season for Vasta Racer in the Racing Point. First podiums of the season for F1 Gamer, the reserve driver in the Alfa Romeo, and for Louis as well, taking a podium in the Williams. The championship leader Nolan missed that race, but fortunately for him, Ruben was another absentee, so didn't affect him too much in the championship standings, as we see the race winner from last week out on his outlap this time around. So Nolan now has a 36 point over Ruben, with Chocolat, who missed last week as well, but he is here tonight, 61 points behind. In total, it's still looking very dominant for Toro Rosso at the top of the Constructors' Championship with a 147 point lead, but Williams have closed into just a point behind, so that battle for second place definitely looking tasty in the Constructors' Championship at the moment. Feel free to use the hashtag AOR Hype and on Twitter, or comment in the chat about this race or about the absolutely crazy real world Formula 1 race that has just gone ahead. I'm sure most of you have watched it. I'm not going to give any spoilers out just in case anyone's catching the highlights later, but it is absolutely crazy to say the least. So we can see Vasta Racer at the moment, won last week. We'll follow him around on his first flying lap on those hard tyres at the moment. Coming down across the start finish line, then it heads downhill. This is where Schumacher squeezed Barrichello 9 years ago, braking hard into turn one, keeping it nice and clean through there, but he just got a bit of wheel spin on the exit of the corner. Then it's a long run around turn two. You can easily pass on the inside or the outside here, but the outside does give you that inside line for turn three. Then you head back up the hill to the scene of Felipe Massa's horrendous accident, and in the end he is backed out of that lap. Let's see what someone else can do. FTR Drez in the Ferrari. Let's see here. It's a bit more luck. Hasn't scored points since the Spanish Grand Prix, so he'll be hoping for a good result this time out. Running a bit wide through there, but keeping it nice and clean through turn 5, then the chicane at 6 and 7. And then you head into this twisty sector, and he also bails out of that lap time. But Ash Best is halfway around this bit now, throwing the Renault around turn 11. We've seen Pablo Joglar set the first competitive lap time with a 1:15.797 on those soft tyres, as is Ash at the moment. So let's see what the Renault driver can do. The Lithuanian, 7th in the championship. It was looking pretty good for him up until towards the end, and he's headed into the pits as well. So a few drivers finding it pretty tricky at the moment. Louis, he just seems to go from strength to strength in F2 since joining this league, getting his first podium last time out and a pole position as well. 1:16.98 at the moment. 9, sorry, yes. Second off pole position, just behind Paris, who fits into second in the other Racing Point. But they're very representable lap times when you consider they are on the harder tyre, so 2 steps harder than that in which Pablo Joglar used at the moment. He has gone for the softs. So a few more times coming in. Quite a few cars did bail out on their laps. Vasta Racer, he's giving it a second go after getting it wrong to start with on those hard tyres, and it will not be easy to get the temperature in these tyres early on. So let's see if he can keep it up here. 54.6 through the second sector. We are seeing quite a few yellow flags. It's not the easiest circuit to do qualifying on. Very tight and twisty. You need to get into a good rhythm, especially during that middle sector, cutting across onto the pit lane as much as you dare, and it looks as though we're finally going to see a car head across the finish line, although I won't be surprised if he's invalidated that lap. Got away with it though with a 1:16.7. Second place at the moment. That is fastest of the hard tyre runners at the moment. So it's Joglar, Vastaracer, Paris, Louis, Surface, Jocola, Maslina and Sparks, the only guys to have set a lap time. 8 out of the 15 have done so far after 5 minutes of this qualifying session has gone. Well, on board with the Mercedes of Nick. See what he can do. Only his 4th race this season as a full-time driver in that Mercedes. Got a podium in his first race, but no points since then, so he'll be hoping for an improvement around Hungary. Powell, all important here, so don't be surprised to see a few more guys heading for the soft tyres, although you can try a different strategy. This season did see Lewis Hamilton win with a 2-stop compared to the 1-stop of Max Verstappen. If you're starting on the softs, and expect 2-stop to be the way forward. If you're starting on the mediums, then a definite 1-stop onto those harder tyres. Rounding that final corner now. Looks tidy, if not spectacular, from the Mercedes at the moment. Yeah, 1:17.2, 5th place, half a second behind the fastest on those hard tyres, and still Pablo Joglar is the only man to have set a lap time on those soft tyres, and his teammate just giving it another go after invalidating his lap earlier on. We've got yellow flags again in Sector 3, so the drivers do seem to be finding this quite tricky so far. Red Bull of Clarkey, he's backed off of this lap, getting it wrong clearly somewhere in the first sector, underlining, I've said multiple times that it is tricky. Nolan not here again tonight, so here's a guy who'll be wanting to take full advantage of that. It looked like he could close in to perhaps within a race win last time out, but didn't go to plan for Ruben. Shock alert at the moment, second slowest of those that have set a lap time, Ruben on these soft tyres, so let's see what he can do in this Toro Rosso. Actually, yeah, on hard tyres, despite the best showing on soft, so not many drivers going for the softs at the moment. Only the Renaults with them currently fitted, so you'd expect that to mean most of the field will be starting on those medium tyres. A lot of drivers do tend to start one step harder than those which they intend to qualify on, taking as much curb you dare and a bit more through these corners. You've got to learn where the game lets you take liberties with track limits in order to be successful in these qualifying sessions. Again, doesn't look as though he's fully committed, and I don't think you can afford to be on these tyres. You can't really chuck it in, as you'll see some of the soft tyre drivers do, and that's probably where they're losing a lot of the time. It's a second gap pretty much at the moment between Pablo Joglar and Vastaracer, but then from 2nd to 10th at the moment only separated by 0.8 of a second. So where will Ruben fit into that? Is it a 1:17.1 at the moment? I think I'll be pretty satisfied with that in 3rd place. We've got the Ferrari coming across the line in the background. Drez, his lap was invalidated, I believe, so still no lap time for him. Ash Best has come into the pits to put the hard tyres on. Chase back to what the best times are on. It's now only Pablo Joglar who has done it on them soft tyres, so if no one else goes on to them softs, you very well could expect him here to be on pole position already. That's no reason to switch away though. Still half the qualifying session to go. A few more drivers will change onto the softs, I'd expect, and especially give in the medium tyres a go. Vastaracer, as I say that, currently says that he is going onto the soft tyres. But at the moment, it is Renault first with Pablo Joglar. The 2 racing points of Vastaracer and this man Paris in 2nd and 3rd. Then Louis, Ruben, Nick, Surface, Onyx Mer, Maslina and Jocolat, your top 10 at the moment. Sparks would be the first man on free tyre choice in 11th place. And then it's Jon Palainen, Drez, Ashbest and Clarkey. Drez just heading back to the pits, as is Clarkey. So we haven't got anyone, say, out on a full pulse lap at the moment. No, Maslina seems to be going for it on these hard tyres, which have already done 4 laps. So perhaps just getting a bit of extra practice in. Perhaps he's definitely going for it. It's his 200ths up on his best time, so that just shows his tyres do last a long time. That would put him even closer to his teammate, if not quite beating it. The McLarens look very evenly matched at the moment. and he does indeed dive into the pit lane. So a lot of drivers seem to be bailing out on laps quite late here. It says Paris has gone for those medium tyres. Pablo Juglar, your provisional pole sitter at the moment. 11th in the championship, a best finish of 4th place in Azerbaijan. He's hoping to give himself a great chance of getting what I believe would be first pole position of the season for the Spaniard. Indeed it would. Average qualifying is about 10th place, so this would be a great chance to prove himself, and we saw that with some of the drivers last week, like Louis, starting higher up the grid, just using that to their advantage, even after the craziness in Germany of the rain towards the end. No Charles Leclerc and Nico Hulkenberg style ice rink manoeuvres from the drivers last time. We do have some support for Ash Best in the chat as we see his teammate here on screen just about to start his second flying lap on those soft tyres, but it was follow him around just for a while, see what he can do. Is it going to be an improvement on his first qualifying lap? We'll have to wait and see. 7 minutes remaining. He's still on pole by a second, but with Vasta Racer changing to the medium tyres, Paris on the mediums and a few others further down the field as well, that gap is going to shrink. I'd be extremely surprised if any of them can somehow find enough of an advantage to overturn that gap, especially when he's going faster at the moment. A bit of a slide there through the rear, kicking the tail out through turn 4 as he puts the power down. It's pretty much a flat out corner, but hitting that curb will unsettle the car. Riding the curbs as well, and that's more than unsettled it. Lap completely gone there for him, so let's see what Paris can do. Expect this to be good enough provisionally for second place, but this will give us an idea of the sort of deltas to expect between the different types of tyres. Hard and mediums especially, already 200ths up on his best. I'm expecting him to find at least half a second here. That racing point not looking as planted as he would have liked through that sequence of corners. Just putting the power down on that curb where you've got to be careful. That is what caught Pablo Juglar out, and he is headed back to the pits with a third of the session remaining. Still the top three remaining relatively unchanged from most of the session. Louis 4th, Ruben 5th. The two Livid Racing drivers of Surface and Nick in 6th and 7th. Then Sparks, Onyx Meyer and Maz Elena. Jon Polainen and Jacques Alert third in the championship, and he's last at the moment of those who have set a time. We're not surprised to see him on those medium tyres. What can Paris do as he comes around the final corner, plants the power down. Just over a third of a second faster, so a 1:16.4. I imagine he'll have been expecting to gain a bit more performance out of that. Louis, he's slightly up as well. He's a 10th up, but he's still on 4 lap old hard tyres, so this is a good performance from Louis, but you will have to start on the tyres, of course, that you qualify on if you are in the top 10, so you don't want to be taking too much life out of them. Perhaps realising it was going quicker, maybe that was the reason he's dived into the pits. Doesn't want to set himself too much of a challenge with 5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. See some of the other medium tyre runners at the moment. Mazzelina, the McLaren man, sorry. Not quite got Mercedes engines in yet, but I believe it's 2020 where we are going to see that 20-year-old partnership, lasted from 95 to 2014, be reignited. Round the penultimate corner, not running as wide as we've seen some of the other drivers do there through turn 13. Coming out across the finish line, he's gained a lot more time. He's up to second position. The McLaren are 1:16.4, so the time is definitely there. Vasta Racer sliding all over the place in that racing point. Not far behind his teammate at the moment. Looking pretty good for the racing points there. Another car involved in that challenge for second in the Constructors on 106 points at the moment. Only 23 points behind Haas in second place, and it is extremely close. Haas to Ferrari could easily be swapped round this weekend. We're saying that though, Ferrari do only have one driver, but Ferrari are within that 43 points of Haas, and 44 is the most you can get in a race weekend. Vasta Racer just slid around a bit too much, so unsurprising to see that he has bailed on this lap time. So we've got a lot of drivers on out laps or in the pit lane. Chocolate saw his teammate put in good form, and that's helped Williams get third in the championship. For his own drivers' championship ambitions, he needs a good performance here. 61 points behind at the moment, but no Nolan. It's a great chance for him. Himself and Nolan are the only drivers to have won multiple races. It's 2 for this Williams driver and 3 for the absentee championship leader at the moment. Chocolate getting 2 in 3 races in Canada and Austria, but only a 6th in Silverstone and missing the race last time out. Needs to gain some of that momentum back. Looking like this will be good enough for second position, and it is by 2 thousandths of a second. Be a much happier man after that lap time. Sparks 117.2 at the moment. His first race without a line, in fact, last time in Germany. The first time he's done that, so I know he's adapted in a few other leagues as well. So bravo to him for trying that, and especially for getting 5th place in that Alfa Romeo. Superb performance for him. Pablo Joglar again going out on these medium tyres and seems to be going for it pretty hard on the softs, I should say. Not the mediums. He has got a 6/10 advantage at the moment. He definitely wants to be qualifying on pole position, and if he is the only man to start on softs, expect him to just get away. Yellow flags, sectors 1 and 2, so someone probably got it wrong through turn 4. Just 2 minutes remaining now. Can anyone stop Pablo Joglar from securing pole position? Basta Racer goes up to 2nd now. We are 116.0. Pablo heading back to the pit, so I think he will be safe in that Renault if no one else go for the softs, which isn't going to happen now with just 1 minute 13 remaining. Louis improving once again. He's a 1/4 of a second up through the first sector, so if he finds some decent pace here, he could easily get involved in that close battle for 3rd place at the moment. Less than a 10th separating 6 cars, as it's, well, 5 cars, sorry, from Chocolat down to Clarkey. Just seemed a bit hesitant through that section. It's not done any harm to his time though. He's 3/4 of a second up here. He nails these final couple of corners. Could easily get into the 1:15s. Have I spoke a bit too prematurely saying that Pablo Joglar's looking safe on pole position. Round that final corner, having to upshift to just kill a bit of the wheel spin and give the car a bit more grip. Louis only 14 hundredths off on that medium tyre. Superb lap from the Williams driver, showing some fantastic pace, and that will be his qualifying session over. Surface trying to improve his best. He's gone up to a 116.3. That's good enough for 4th position at the moment. Drez and Ashbest still haven't set a lap time, and here is Drez, and he's not going to be able to do so, I don't think, because he's not going to get round in time. So that is possibly last place for him, because Ashbest will get around the circuit in time, as will Sparks. Pablo Joglar has had enough, and I think Sparks is going to be that last man across the finish line. So the checkered flag is out now. Pablo Joglar and Vastaracer have had enough. Chocolat across the line, couldn't improve. See what I can do. Surface unable to do so as well. Let's see who else we've got. We've got Mazzolina there at the moment. Still pretty early on in that 3rd sector. Nick in 10th. That knocks Jon Palainen down to 11th, but the Red Bull of Jon Palainen will have free tyre choice. Clarkey in 9th. He's in the pits. He won't be able to improve. What is Mazzolina able to do in the McLaren? His teammate just moves up to 9th place as we're speaking. So has Mazzolina got anything left in the tank around this final couple of corners to improve his position? He's in 8th place at the moment. He doesn't need to find much. 116.277. That is good enough for 6th. Paris, he's on his way back to the pits. Sparks slightly down, and he's got it wrong through that corner, so that's not going to be good enough for him. Ashbest around the final corner. Lithuanian in the Renault. One and only lap, good enough for 9th position. But at the end of all that, the first lap was good enough for Pablo Joglar, and he takes pole position here. Louis in 2nd, and last week's race winner, 3rd place. Main title contenders, Chocolat and Ruben in 4th and 7th. They'll be hoping for better finishes than that if they wish to catch up with Nolan. But it's Pablo Joglar on pole position here today. Just hopefully soon they'll realise that everyone has finished the qualifying session. As we're saying it, there we go. So Ash, 9th position, but the main man today, in qualifying at least, Pablo Joglar on them soft tyres. No one was able to catch him, surprisingly. Then you've got Louis in second, just 14 hundredths behind. Vasta Racer and Jocolat, third and fourth. The Williams being followed by his S2V stablemate Paris in fifth. Another great qualifying for the Racing Point team. Maslina in sixth, Ruben seventh, Surface eighth, Ash Best ninth, and Sparks continuing his decent form since joining F2 in 10th. Onyx Mer will have free tyre choice in 11th place, and then it's Clarkey, Nick, Jompalainen and Drez, the final man not able to get a competitive lap time on the board. So he will be starting towards, well, he will be starting at the back of the grid. Get to see what tyre choice everyone is on. We already know, of course, what the top 10 will be using. So see what a few more drivers have this time. They are picking their strategies now. One stop. I'd expect those on the medium and the hards. Pablo Joglar is going to have to go for a two-stop. Surely he won't be able to make those hards last long enough. The soft tyres last long enough. But we will wait and see. Does look like a perfectly dry race as well here, so that will please all the drivers, I'm sure, after what happened last time out in those final few laps where towards the end, Jompalainen on those intermediate tyres, I think he was 15 seconds faster than Vasta Racer on that final lap after pitting for the intermediate tyres. Well, definitely through the final few sectors, so it just showed one more lap and that would have been an extremely interesting race. So we will have to see what is happening here as they all coming down now. Formation lap underway, 35 laps. We'll get the tyre choices up, which everyone is on. Perhaps not too surprising to see that everyone outside of that top 10 has gone on to the hard tyres. And what can Pablo Joglar do? Pole position, no podiums this season. You'd expect it to still be a challenge. And then you've got two Williams and two Force Indias staggering each other in second, third, fourth and fifth. Will we see any team games? Louis and Chocolat on board with the man. Third place in the championship at the moment. Again, 61 points behind Nolan, who is absent, but will still be in the lead heading into the next round in Belgium in next weekend. Are there going to be any team orders in this Williams team? Because Louis, way down the order, 12th in the championship. Didn't get any points at all until Austria, but a 7th, 4th and a 3rd. Since then, he's one of the form drivers at the moment. Last week's race winner, obviously, as well, Vasta Racer. 2 podiums on the spin. His only 2 podiums this season. Every race he has finished, he has been in the points. I think the only other people with them records as well, just looking quickly, Nolan, Jocolat have managed that as well, but quite a few of the others have been inconsistent throughout the season. But we're just going to have to wait and see how this race goes. Around the final few corners, I was expecting Pablo Joglar, unsurprisingly, taking this very slowly. He wants to keep as much life in those soft tyres as possible. Don't want to go too hard on a formation lap, and you don't want to be sat queuing on the grid, losing loads of tyre wear. Dresden Ferrari, sole Ferrari coming around the final corner. He wants to get his first point since the Spanish Grand Prix, maybe even his first podium since Bahrain. I've seen today that last to podium is definitely a possibility. It's going to be tough for the Ferrari. Who's going to find it tough around the Hungaroring? Who will be hungry for success? We will find out as the lights come on, and then we will be racing here in Hungary. It is go, 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 and it seems like a fairly good start from the Williams of Louis. He shoots away past Pablo Joglar. Fantastic start from the Williams. Is Renault going to try and battle down the inside? No, and Maslina shot through the middle of a few cars. Surely there's going to be contact. I think Vasta Racer has been shoved wide there. So it's Louis in the lead, Pablo Juglar second, Chocolat third, Paris fourth. Maslina and Vastavase are still battling side by side at the moment, but the Racing Point has to give way. And there's been a spinner in the background, that is Onyx Mert, who has gone off in the McLaren. Can't see if he has got any damage, but I think it all just got a bit too bunched together on the run out of turn 3, and he has retired from the session. So we've already had our first retirement. Hopefully won't cause a safety car, and can Louis escape, because if he could just hold off for a few laps, he is going to have better tyre life. Of course, no DRS in the first couple of laps, but it's Louis, Pablo Juglar, Jocola, Paris, Maslina, Bastar, Racer, Surface, Sparks, Ashbest, Nick and Ruben. If we look at the gaps for everyone at the moment, it's not gone well for Ruben, losing 4 places. Vasta Racer also losing 3, of course. We did see him getting shoved wide. Nick in the Mercedes doing well despite having those hard tyres off the line, getting into 3rd position at the moment. So Ruben, well, we wanted to get past him as soon as possible. Just head now on to lap 2, and it's still Louis in the lead of this race. Paris in 4th, closing up to the back of Jocola. The Williams looking very handy at the moment. Seeing him move further down the field. Ruben gets down the inside of Nick, using that superior grip he's got in that Toro Rosso at the moment to get back into the points. 2 Red Bulls running line of stern behind them in 12th and 13th as well. Thankfully that retirement did not cause a safety car. Jocola does not seem to have the pace of these front 2 at the moment. Seems like he may be concentrating more on having to keep Paris behind him rather than attacking his Williams teammate and the Renault in 2nd place. And I'm sure Pablo will be gutted about that start. In a prime position to take a victory, just got it wrong off the start line. We've got some support here for Vivid Racing. 2 of their men at the moment are in the points. It was 3 before Ruben cut through past Nick in the Mercedes. And Ruben, he's got a bit of a gap before he catches up to Ashbest and Sparks. And it's another position dropped here as Nick has been passed by Clarkey in the Red Bull. Is the Mercedes going to be able to fight back? This might be one to watch down the straight, because it all looks pretty spread out. DRS will be enabled next time around. It's going to have to do it au natural this time if it wants to do anything. Is the Red Bull going to have to go defensive? Is the Mercedes going to have to go defensive from the other Red Bull as Jon Palainen closes up slightly but not able to do anything? Louis though pulling out a gap in front, keeps it over a second. Of course Pablo Juglar will be out of DRS range, and he is beginning to fall back into the clutches of Jocola and Paris. So perhaps already them soft tyres past their best, especially in the dirty air, not modelled, thankfully I'd say, as realistically as it is obviously in real life. Otherwise the racing would not be as exciting as what we've seen. Although today's Grand Prix has shown there is definite excitement to be held even with modern Formula 1. But Louis at the moment 1.7 seconds he's got that gap out, and you just can't overtake through this bit, so it's going to be very frustrating for Jocola. He just cut the curb too much there, and that chucked him out wide. I'll be surprised if that hasn't earned him a warning. Could see a Williams 1-2 sooner rather than later here in this race, and who thought we'd ever say that in 2019. Paris, Maslina, Vastrazer, Surface, Sparks, Ashbest, Ruben, all within a second of the car in front. So we're going to get the good old-fashioned DRS train here. Louis 2.3 seconds ahead. His teammate now trying to get past the Renault. Pablo Juglar having to go defensive. Has he just about covered it off? I think he has, but Jocola, is he going to get a better exit? There's a bit of a touch in there. He might be able to outbrake him here all the way around the outside. Paris has got a good view of this, and Maslina's involved as well as Jocola tries to hold it on around the outside. Great defending from Pablo Juglar to hold off there. No position changes. That's not an overtaking point. Surely, Jocola, you can't hold it around the outside there. He's giving it a go, but he's having to go way off track. Is that going to get in the line for the inside of the next corner? He's got himself inside. There's a bit more contact, and he's round. Jocola has lost it. 3rd place man in the championship spins it round. He's going to drop all the way to the back of the field, and with end plate damage. Nightmare for him. And Louis, all this battling, he's now 3.6 seconds ahead. It's like the old Sebastian Vettel Red Bull days where he just streaked clear of the field early on. As Surface has retired from the session. Surface lost it, cut big style, coming out of turn 11, I believe. That could cause a safety car. So the sole Haas representative from this race, you can just see there he's got it wrong, so nightmare for him. Nightmare for Speedster as well, who was supporting Livid Racing, but out in front, Paris now trying to round the outside of Pablo Joglar, and he's got the move done, I believe. He is up into second position. Will the Renault have DRS to fight back though? No, Paris was still behind at the detection point, of course, and now Maslina's going to have a look down the inside, not able to do anything. So now we are seeing someone escape. Paris, he has been a reserve driver in this championship, but in his 2 races that he's competed in since becoming full-time, he has got 9th and 6th in that racing point, so it's a good chance for podium again, and we're seeing some very interesting results in this second part of the season. A man who's looking good in championship says this time out, Ruben Chocolat in the pit to repair that front wing and to go onto the soft tyre. So that is a 2-stop strategy that the Williams driver is committing for. If he gets into the top 10, he might be looking good for the fastest lap towards the end of this race. We will have to wait and see. So Ruben in 8th place. Out in front though, it is Louis, then Paris, then Pablo Joglar. And already that gap is stretching as Maslina loses it. Too fast on the power. He's gone. Joglar, I believe that's the first warning we've seen for penalties for multiple warnings. Lewis sets the fastest lap. Maslina has to go in the pit lane. That puts Vasta Racer up into 4th place. Sparks in 5th. Ash Best has got his way up to 6th position with all this chaos ahead. Ruben 7th, Nick 8th, and the 2 Red Bulls of Clarkie and Jompalainen are now 9th and 10th. So it's Williams, Racing Point, Renault, Racing Point here. That gap is stretching out. We'll change to the leader timings just so we can get a bit of an idea with the pit stops now that a few guys have had to pit for damage. Of course, 2 retirements already, Onyx Mer and Surface. Jocola and Maslina both spun out, so it's been a nightmare start to the race for the McLaren team. Still a long way to go. We are only on lap 6 of 35 in this race. I believe the PS4 F1 tier is coming to an end now. There is PC F1 on live as well as all the lower tiers. And at 9 PM it is the Xbox One top tier. Vasta Racer, last week's winner, hounding Joglar. It just shows now that these drivers are beginning to get a bit more used to the game. F1 2019 did have some big handling changes compared to 2018. 2020 should be fairly consistent. 2021 might be another one that sees a big shake-up of the order in the esports world. The Joglar's having to go very defensive very early on here. Surely the racing points, we have to go later on the brakes all the way around the outside. Joglar's doing a good job there, just forces the racing point slightly wide, but did leave him a car's width, and that's maybe given Sparks a chance to go around the outside. He has got the racing point, just slots in behind the Renault, who has ran wide slightly, but that gives him the inside for the next corner. So it doesn't make a difference as our leader gets a 3-second time penalty. 5 seconds clear now of Paris, and 8 seconds clear of this battle we are seeing on screen. Sure, they'll be waiting for Pablo Joglar to come into the pits, but he will be staying out as long as possible, I feel. Pit stop now would bring him out into clear air, of course. In between Dres and Maslina, you have got that massive gap. Maslina, in a way, lucky to spin where he did just before the entrance to the pit lane, but you can just see Joglar not able to take a tight line through these corners at all, and these drivers just hemorrhaging time behind him. A bit of contact, I think, from Ash Best and Vasta Racer there. Maybe a slight bit of like netcode involved, but no damage done. And Ruben right on the back of these as Pablo Joglar has dived into the pit lane. That'll be a relief for these guys. Vasta Racer running wide slightly. Sparks will have got DRS, of course, off this, so even though he's at the front, there is this DRS train going along here. Ash Best looking very close to Vasta Racer. He's in a Renault. He's not going to go for a Ricardo S-style dive bomb, surely. Just gets a wheel on the inside. Wasn't far enough, though. Stays in 5th place, but now perhaps into turn 2. Not this time from the Lithuanian. Well, all this battling is going to allow those drivers on the hard tyres to catch up, of course. They have dropped back as is expected, but it's Nick, Clarkie, Jompalainen and Dres. Pablo Joglar pitted for the hard tyres, so maybe he could make a one-stop stretch. As we've said, it's not the easiest circuit to overtake on. The Sparks is now at the head of the train, and I'm sure he's going to find it difficult in the Alfa Romeo, but out in front, we've hardly seen him because all the action that's been going on behind. Louis, 4.7 seconds. Led part of the race last time out. Got his first podium of the season. Proving the pace that we all know he has. Paris, 4.8 seconds behind him. Sparks a further 5 seconds behind. Here's where we're going to see any overtaking, if there is any. Faster Racer just looks a bit further behind. I'd say the closest to anyone. Ruben to Ash Best here, the man at the back of the queue, the man who could perhaps afford to be a bit more aggressive from the race point of view. Is he's not going to be punished if he locks up slightly, but he's in a championship battle. But you just see what DRS Trey's doing. That's a very late move down the inside from the Toro Rosso. No way is he getting that stopped. Ash Best just streaks back past him. Both still have DRS. It was worth a try from Ruben. As I said, didn't have to worry about anyone else coming for it, but chucking the anchors on, there was no way we're getting that stopped unless someone just put a brick wall in front of him. They make the cars good in Faenza, but the brakes couldn't stick up to that punishment. Louis still pulling away from Paris, who is pulling away from Sparks still. 10 seconds the gap from first to third. It's normally later on in the race we see that field spread, but partly because of Chocolat's spin and mainly because of Pablo Joglar on those soft tyres just holding up the field, that is the reason why you have this spread at the moment. And has just being able to go a bit slower meant these guys can make their tyres last just a bit longer. Fortunately for them, they're pretty much committed to going onto the hards unless they can do a ridiculously long stint on the mediums, because you have to go on 2 different types of dry compound tyres in a dry race. And it looks like perfect blue skies in Budapest on lap 10. Louis, Paris, Sparks, Vasteracer, Ash Best, Ruben go from the back of the Red Bulls at the moment. Jompalainen in 9th position at the moment in that Red Bull. Just sticking up to the back of his teammate, and that can allow you to save a bit of tyres and fuel when you're at the back of one of these DRS trains, because you don't have to worry about pushing as hard around the rest of the lap, because you know you've got that DRS to help you catch up. As we have a yellow flag in sector 3, and that is Chocolat once again facing the wrong way, just pushing a bit hard on them soft tyres. He comes into the pits. I wonder if that could be for a retirement. See Drez getting a penalty there for multiple warnings. It's not gone well for Chocolat today, and indeed he does retire, so that's our 3rd retirement of the race as we watch for now Saul Williams of Louis come around turn 14 and head onto the start straight. Start lap 11, 5.3 seconds ahead of Paris, so he's still pulling away. They're all pulling away from Sparks, Vasteracer, Ash Best and Ruben. Don't be surprised to see Ruben be the first one of these guys to dive into the pit lane to do the undercut, because it might just be very effective, even though he'll be charging onto those hard tyres. We've got yellow flags because, unfortunately, Chocolat's retired car has decided to come out of the pit lane, which I'm sure has done everyone a favour. Hopefully, no safety car will be required. There's a decent battle at the moment, being led by Nick in the Mercedes. Then it is Clarkey and Jompalainen. Those at the front are going to have to watch on these guys, because especially Louis, he will come out behind Drez possibly, and you don't want to get caught up in traffic at the wrong point of the circuit, even though you'll be on far fresher tyres. It's only really Sector 1 that has your real overtaking opportunities at the end of the 2 DRS zones. Sector 2 can't overtake unless you see someone make a mistake. Sector 3 is all about setting up for the final bit of the lap, so traffic management will be crucial. Nice bit of sliding there from Nick. I'm sure that's woken him up if he wasn't awake already. All just seems to have gone a bit steady in this front battle. Again, Ruben, now that I know both of his main championship rivals won't be scoring points this time out, Surface out of the race as well, the man in 4th place. So people like Vasteracer and Ash Best could find themselves possibly getting into the battle. Not as much Ash Best, 96 points behind, but Vasteracer only 76 points off Nolan at the moment. Got a win last time out. Looking good for a podium here perhaps. The Racing Point man, 4th position at the moment. Still being held off by Sparks. Another great defensive job from the Alpha driver. all end plates on that RF19 that are meant to be there as he cuts across the curb. 12.2 seconds. Ash is behind the leader now, with Ruben just behind them. Then 5 seconds back to Nick, Clarkey, Jompalainen and Andres. Pablo Joglar pitted after starting on the soft tyres from pole position. He was passed straight away by Louis. Mazlina spun and had to have a front wing change. Jocola chased his front wing and then spun again. Surface crashed out at this very corner and Onyx Murphy retired on lap 1. So a lot has gone on in the first third of this race, and I'm sure there is still plenty of action to go. It's the closest I've seen Vasta Racer for a while as Paris pits, and that's Sparks heading into the pit lane as well. So these stopped earlier than I would have expected from these guys. Ruben coming in as well, so expect that battle to hot up. Toro Rosso breaking as late as he dares. Where are they going to come out in relationship to Dres and Pablo Joglar? I'd say probably almost certainly behind Dres. Just depends where they are in relation to Pablo. In fact, Paris has got out ahead of Dres. Sparks stays ahead of Ruben. And where's Pablo Joglar? He's ahead of all of them on only 5 lap older tyres. So for now he should have the pace. Towards the end of the race he'll be hoping they don't fall off. So if he can make those last, if he's being careful on them and gets the one stop to work, he could still be good for a podium here. Sparks 10th place now. Ruben 11th. Mazlina 12th. Where will these guys be in relation to Vasta Racer and Ash Best, who surely, just pitting now, pretty much I'd say secures that you're going to come out behind. Their only option, and Louis, is just to go longer and have fresher tyres towards the end of the race. As I say that though, Louis does come into the pit lane. His tyres are wearing a bit faster than I expected. Vasta Racer in as well. Ash Best, as he often is, making his tyres last a bit longer, so he will take the lead of this race for now. What will happen in the pit stops? Vasta Racer heading down the pit lane now. Mediums coming off. Hards going on to that racing point. He will be behind his teammate, of course. A lot could depend where he comes out in relation to Pablo Joglar. We should see a racing point any moment soon coming out of the pit lane. There he is. He's still behind Sparks. And Ruben, is he going to have a chance? He's got more warmed up tyres, of course, than that racing point. Too far behind Sparks to get DRS, and perhaps that's why he's not able to do anything. So Vasta Racer lost a bit of time there, but may have maintained his position. But Ash Best now in the lead of this race, 6 seconds ahead. Only man on the mediums yet to stop. And then you've got Nick, Clarkey and Jompalainen and Andres in 7th, who started on the hards. Everyone else has made a pit stop. Ash Best, perhaps for tyres just going as he uses all of the track and then some. Maybe an in-lap here. Seems to be saving a lot of his ERS, so perhaps just avoiding any wheel spinning. He is coming into the pit, so Ash Best in the pits now. Expect him to drop to the back of this pack. As we see Clarkey, Jompalainen and the Williams of Louis has come out behind these guys. He's got much fresher tyres, gets a much better exit out of that corner, but they've all got DRS. Jompalainen not really battling. You can just see that he needs the slipstream to even get alongside. Brakes later than the Red Bull. And the net race leader moves up into 3rd position. For now, Clarkey and Nick will surely be dispatched soon. Where has Ash Best come out? He has come out behind that battle and on the medium tyres. So, we know someone who's definitely going for a 2-stop strategy now. And to be honest, I'm not sure. Starting on the medium tyres and then goes to the medium is not what I expected for 2-stop to be. I expected it to be more Pablo Joglar, but for this to work, Ash Best is going to have to do some mighty overtaking moves in this race, because really he needs to get rid of all these cars up ahead of him. And you can see just being held up by Sparks, who has shown that he can defend. These DRS trains do make it hard to get past the car in front. Could see this very soon. So Nick in the lead of the race, then Clarkey. Louis though, and next 2.8 seconds ahead now of Paris. Just shows how getting caught up in traffic can affect you. DRS opens on the Red Bull. DRS also open on the Williams. We look back at one Red Bull. Another one pops into sight, and a much easier move this time for Louis as he heads into second. And Paris sets the fastest lap this time around. Sparks in the Alpha, hanging on to 6th place as Asbest goes for a move down the inside of Ruben. I said he needed to be a bit aggressive. He will have DRS. He's going to have to go all the way around the outside at turn 2 and try and hang it off. Can he stay cars width alongside to get into turn 3? No, he cannot. And that is the problem around this circuit, trying to get past this strategy. Catching up is one thing, as Murray Walker said. Overtaking is quite another, and just didn't have enough of an overlap there because all the cars in front of him also have DRS. So that's best 10th place at the moment. Ruben getting a time penalty, unsurprisingly there, for making up his own line through that chicane. Out in front though, it is still Nick in the Mercedes. Expect it to be another 5 laps, I'd say at least, before these hard tyre runners come in. As Louis will surely line up, he needs to dispatch them soon. Paris, he'll be hoping, also gets stuck in this traffic. There we go, Louis pulls out of the slipstream, retakes the lead of this race. He's led since lap 1. And if he keeps it clean, looking very good indeed to take his first win of the season in the Williams. Further back though, Pablo Joglar's got down the inside of Sparks. Sparks fights back. Faster Racer though gets a much better exit than Pablo Joglar, who's outbraked himself surely there. Is he going to be able to do it round the outside and keep alongside? He's got a wheel there. This is surely going to have to back out. Thought we were going to see contact there. That's compromised the racing point, and is that going to allow the Toro Rosso to have a go all the way around the outside? Big contact there. Don't think there's any damage to the cars. A bit of carbon fibre off, and indeed Faster Racer has lost his end plate. I'd have to see that one again if I'm being honest, because it just to me looked as though Ruben chopped across the front of Faster Racer and couldn't see though how far alongside the racing point was. Net goal of that is that's pretty much ruined his race. He's going to have to come into the pits again. Ash Best did very well to avoid getting caught up in that as well. So he's up into 9th place, and Louis, now that he's free of that traffic, showing his pace, fastest lap of the race, a 1:19.2. Could see the full 26 points here for that man. Paris has got past Jon Palainen for 4th place. Are we going to see some more moves in this battle? Renault, Toro Rosso, Renault, and an Alpha just ahead, out of shot. Faster Racer indeed into the pits. Drez has also pitted actually for the medium tyres. We missed that, so that's a very early pit stop from a hard tyre runner, meaning he's going to have to go 20 laps. 21 laps even on these medium tyres. That is going to be a big challenge for him to get them to the end of the race. I think it could be a struggle for the Ferrari driver. Louis now out in front, 1.2 seconds ahead of Nick, who has escaped from the Red Bulls slightly, and you can just see now what effect being stuck in traffic is having to Paris. He's got the gap down to about 2 seconds from Louis. He's creeping up back towards the 4 or 5 seconds it was earlier on. I'll be hoping some of these cars bail pretty soon into the pit lane. Not this time though. We will have DRS though on the Red Bull. Should be a fairly straightforward pass as Paris tries to keep in the hunt for this race victory. We are on lap 19 here at the Hungarian Grand Prix, and Paris out of the slipstream, easy as can be. 3rd position now for the racing point. Next target Nick, 1.6 seconds up the road. Ruben with a very interesting weave there. Just doing that just gets dirt on your tyres, mate. He's locked up. Ash Best, he's got the DRS open. They've both got it. I think there's a bit of contact, perhaps desync between the two of them. He's tried this round the outside before. Bit more robust defending there, and Ash just cannot get past that Toro Rosso, and this is destroying his strategy at the moment, because he wanted to be by now ahead of all these guys. I'm sure Pablo Joglar will have realised his teammate was on a different strategy and let him through. So only really 2 cars as Ruben again cutting that chicane. He got a 3-second penalty already. He could easily be earning a few more. Pablo now on the slightly older tyres, struggling and beginning to hold these guys up. This could be a blessing in disguise for Ash. Lock up from Ruben, just gets into the back slightly of that Renault. No damage done. Slipstreaming and DRS are going to be all effective, and you can see Clark is now coming to the pits. That promotes these guys up a place. So 19 laps on those hard tyres. DRS still open. Pablo Juggler must have got it from the Red Bull coming into the pit lane. That just frustrates Ruben once more. He's gone for a very late lunge down the inside. He took them both out, surely. What was Ruben doing there? Never going to make the corner. Still defending hard. Oh, that could go to the stewards, if I'm being honest. Did not look good at all from Ruben's point of view. So Pablo Juggler now down to set 8, Ruben 7, Ash promoted a couple of places. We have yellow flags in sector 1, not sure what that is for, and it is Drez. He spun, I believe, coming out of the final corner, that must have been. He's damaged his front wing, so Vasta Racer up into 11th. Wouldn't be too surprising to see another retirement, but I hope he hangs on in there, because we have seen a lot of contact in this race. So Ash has got 3 now of that battle. Sparks escaping slightly as well. Paris is up into 2nd place, and he's got the gap down from before the pit stop. He's now 4.2 seconds behind Louis, but with 16 laps to go. As you can see on Sparks' telemetry there, 5th place man at the moment is going to have to do fuel saving. Pablo Juggler and Ruben with some rally crossing as the Renault gets past now. So not been a lap of glory for the Toro Rosso at the moment. Is he going to have another go? And Maslina catching all these guys up. He'll have to do 20 laps on these tyres. Let's see what happens here. Down the inside. That's more like it from the Toro Rosso. He takes 7th position. Imagine that yellow flag was just for slow moving Ferrari of Drez. He's got a long way to go to come back to the pits with that broken front wing. More battling between Ruben and Pablo Juggler. I feel like this is going to be one that's going to run and run until the end of this race. Vasta Race is setting the fastest lap. Maybe Maslina will be best just staying a bit further back. Did the Renault get into the back of the Toro Rosso there? Switched away at just the wrong moment. They're trying everything. Here, emotions running high, unsurprisingly. Drez does retire from the session, so we are down to just 11 out of the original 15 runners here. Could soon be into everyone gets a point situation with just one more retirement. Nick and Jompalainen staying out on those hard tyres. As I say that, Nick comes into the pits. Jompalainen staying out, and he is a man I've seen make tyres last extremely long. Commented on his F4 championship win in season 16, the last full-length season AOR had on F1. Ash Best promoted to 5th, Sparks in 4th. Where will Nick come out on those medium tyres? So expect him to have some pace towards the end of this race. It is going to be behind Clarkey, so the Red Bull, the undercut has worked. Red Bull does get past the Mercedes. They are now 9th and 10th position. But out in front, this man Louis in the Williams. 5.2 seconds ahead of Paris. Pushing extremely hard still. I'm sure he wants that extra point for fastest lap, but it might not be the best idea, so we'll have to see what's going on here. Louis first, 5.5 seconds ahead of Paris. Jompalainen in 3rd, the only man yet to have made a pit stop. Sparks is 4th, Ash Best is in 5th. Probably the Red Bull, I imagine, is going to be coming in this lap. No, staying out a bit longer, so could see hard softs here from Jompalainen. He could be one to watch in the final few laps for the battle for the final few points. So Ash in 5th. Can he catch up to Sparks and get DRS? He's going to have to pit again, of course. That's going to spice the order up. Maslina, he's now on the back of Ruben. He's got back past Pablo Juggler. And he's battling with Ruben. It's not going to plan for the Toro Rosso driver today. And Maslina all the way around the outside before we even get to the corner. Pablo braking late to try and get a cutback. He is going to get a better exit of course, and I hope that was wheel spin. I really do hope that was wheel spin. Otherwise, we have seen some very questionable driving, to put it mildly, from Ruben here. Does seem to be trying to collect as much paint on his car from others as possible. And Clarky and Nick just behind these guys. They've got much better tyres. Could see 6th and 7th, perhaps even 5th place, 5th and 6th, depending on what happens with Ash Best later on after his pit stop. We will have to wait and see. But this train, just Ruben struggling for pace. He has got big front wing damage as well, completely missing that end plate. So that is why he's holding them off, and that is why everyone is so determined to get past. Is Clarky going to have a go down the inside there? It's not really enough room for an overtake. It is getting very overcast all of a sudden as well in this race. I think it will be staying dry. But if it's not, that might explain why Jon Palainen is staying out on track for so long. So can't really take your eyes off this battle. He's got a great run here as Clarky on Pablo Joglar. Nick just behind as well. Ruben could find himself in the middle of a sandwich here. That's a big lunge from Pablo Joglar down the middle of everyone. Somehow Ruben stayed ahead. There's contact. Nick didn't stay out the wall. He's damaged his tyre, knocked his front wing off, and he's out of the race. So Nick is out, down to 10 runners. Somehow Pablo Joglar still in this race. Somehow Ruben's still sticking, I was going to say in 7th, but there we go. Clarky now up into 7th position. So that puts Master Racer into the points. Messy, I think, is going to be the way to describe this race. And Ash Best, he'll be hoping to keep it clean. 5th at the moment. When will he pit onto the soft tyres? Pit stop at the moment would bring him out in 9th position. Is it worth pitting now? Losing will the soft tyres last that long? Jon Palainen clearly doesn't think so. 24 laps now on these medium tyres. His pit stop will bring him out behind Ruben and Pablo Joglar, and I'm sure we're going to see some more action from them. Sparks defending from Ash Best on the run into turn 1. Is that rain I see on the screen? Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Jon Palainen was a late pit stopper for intermediate tyres last time out. He may have played a blinder, as may have Ash Best here. Bit of a nudge there down the inside of Sparks. There's some wheel banging. They're going to be side by side down to turn 4. Don't know if I dare watch here. We've seen a lot of contact. Ash Best has superior grip. He's down the inside. Ruben and Pablo Joglar, I'm still knocking 7 bells out of each other at the moment. But this rain, who's going to be the first one to blink? Who's going to go onto intermediate tyres? Is there going to be a need to go onto intermediate tyres, or will it stay good for long enough? This could explain why Ruben is staying out there with that end plate damage. He knows the track is going to go into intermediates. Machina there getting a time penalty for multiple warnings for corner cutting. Out in front though, Louis. It looked like being a straightforward race towards the end. 7 seconds for lead, 10 laps to go, but the weather is having a different say. I'd be expecting Jon Palainen and Ash Best to be the two to first switch onto those intermediate tyres, especially the Red Bull. He's done 25 laps on these hards. Pretty much down to the canvas, I'd imagine. He's got to be careful that he doesn't get into puncture territory here. But this may give Maslina some hope that if it stays dry enough, that McLaren could stay out long enough to avoid having to pit. But no real pace being shown. Pablo Joglar and Ruben once again getting into contact with each other. This time the Renault has got through, but he's got damage on his end plate now. One man who is enjoying this is Nolan. That's going to be contact. Surely that's going to be a spin. No. I think the less said about this now, the better, because it's just getting beyond a joke, to be honest. Ash Best showing the pace he's got on the medium tyres now that he's been able to get through all that chaos. 2 seconds he's pulled out on Sparks. Soon as DRS is announced as disabled, that's pretty much when you get to the crossover point to go into intermediate tyres. as soon as DRS is disabled, that means it's no longer a dry race. So if Ash then wanted, I think, to hang out on these mediums, he'd be able to do so without a penalty. Lap 27 then of 35. Once again, it's getting wet towards the end of the race. A bit earlier than last time. Paris 7.5 seconds behind our leader Louis in the Racing Point. Louis in the Williams. We've seen 5 retirements so far. Onyx Mer on lap 1. Surface a few laps after. Jocola spun a couple of times. Had enough. Drez also spun coming out of the final corner. And then Nick, we saw him get involved in the very close battle between Ruben, Pablo Joglar and Clarkey. Was pulled out 10 seconds on those in just a few laps. That Williams still trying to hang on into first place at the moment. 8 laps remaining when he gets around this final corner. When is it getting wet enough for those intermediates? Hanging on in there, hanging on in there. Ash Best will be closing up to Jon Palainen soon, and again, expect these to be the first 2 to come into the pits, especially the Red Bull, because his tyres will be well past their best. Stays out for another lap, and I think Ash Best, he was thinking about it then, but he too staying out for another lap. We don't know the forecast, of course, so will it just be staying dry? Is this going to be the worst the rain gets and you'll be able to hang on until the end of the race? We will have to wait and see. So still, Ash Best 4th, Jon Palainen 3rd. It's Louis 8.2 seconds now. He is ahead of Paris. Sparks 5th, then Maslina, Clarkey, Ruben and Pablo Joglar still battling. Now Vasteres is getting involved. I'm not sure this might be the wisest thing from the Force India Racing Point driver. 28 laps, and I finally said Force India, to get involved in this, because he might not know what's been going off between the two of them, and maybe I was being a bit unfair and there was some desig involved actually, because that was very strange. Ruben off track, completely lost his front wing. Pablo Joglar with, I'm sure, even more damage to his. So Vasteres getting through that unscathed. He's now up into 8th place. And it is worth just carrying on Ruben. Perhaps now he will be the one to change onto the intermediate tyres, because he is still going to get a point from this. Ash now all over the back of that Red Bull. Will anyone come in for intermediate tyres, or is it still dry enough for the dries? But this Red Bull surely going to have to make a choice. It's still dry enough for DRS to be enabled, so we're going to see some overtaking action here. Red Bull versus Renault. Jon Palainen not bothering to go defensive. Sticks to the outside. Ash Best cleanly done. That Red Bull didn't get DRS. It is the Renault that did it, so he is up into 3rd place. Clarkey gets past Maslina, the other Red Bull. Gains a place, so he is now up into 6th place. The alternate strategy working well for these guys. Pablo Joglar has come into the pits. Expect that to be for intermediate tyres, as will Ruben. All this rain means we can pretty much give the fastest lap point now. It'll be Vasteres at that 1:18.5. Will not be beaten, and we are seeing the first drivers with 6 laps to go change onto those intermediates. So let's see how they do relative to the others. Just have a quick look at the race director to see how the pace has dropped. So Louis, see, they're only a couple of seconds slower than full dry pace at the moment, so not really worth coming into the pits, because it's just not raining hard enough. So perhaps this strategy that Jon Palainen and Ash Best have tried is still not going to work. Or will Jon Palainen come into the pits and chuck the soft tyres on? Hanging out for one more lap. That is 29 laps on these hard tyres. I'm not quite sure how he is doing it. Louis seems to be handling the wet weather better than some of the others though. 9.6 seconds ahead of Paris. Clarkey and Maslina in. So there you do. They also think it's wet enough for intermediate tyres now. Keep an eye on Pablo Joglar's times relative to the leader, Louis. Doesn't seem to be going quicker at all. In fact, sliding around a lot. Just struggling. It's not wet enough for intermediates at the moment. It is not wet enough for intermediates. See how Ruben's going as well. He's having to take it very gingerly as well. You can just see, they're burning up the tyres. He's lost 3 seconds in the last half a lap as Pablo Joglar. So when these guys pit, Jon Palainen and Ash Best, they're going to have to go maybe for the soft tyres. I say that, it looks as though it's raining even harder, so maybe just one lap too early for these guys on the intermediates. We'll see what Clarkey and Maslina do. They're now in 7th and 8th place. That promotes Vasteracer up into 6th. A man we haven't mentioned much for a while, Sparks. He's in 5th on his hard tyres. Surely Ash Best and Jon Palainen, I believe, will have to pit for some tyres at some point in this race. So that could promote the Alpha to a podium. Second race in a row we'll see for the Alpha team getting a podium. Say they were at the bottom of the championship. I think coming into the last race, that is a great turnaround for this team. 5 laps remaining. What sort of pace are we seeing? It's definitely not quicker at the moment still on these intermediates. So Jon Palainen might be best just sticking the soft tyres on when he comes into the pits. As will Ash Best, because if it's not wet enough for DRS to be disabled, it will not be counted as a wet race and they will have to pit, but they are going to leave it, I believe, until the last lap to do that. So Vasteracer up into 6th position. Sparks 5th, being hounded now by the Alpha of hounding the Red Bull of Jon Palainen, I should say. Louis has just seemed to be faultless out in front, 11.3 second lead. Does look to be raining harder. We'll check the lap times once again, see how they've changed on the last lap. You can see now we're into 124s all of a sudden. So 124s, it is definitely getting tougher out there for these guys. Will they be forced into a last ditch pit stop? We'll have to wait and see. Anyone coming in? Hanging out for one more lap. Ash Best went by. Jon Palainen went by. Sparks goes by. I think if anyone is going to pit for intermediates, I only expect it to be that Renault and the Red Bull at the moment. Lap 32, just 4 laps remaining. Louis looks a certainty for his first victory of the season. Paris looking good for 2nd position as well. We've got some inside line support here for Louis. Your man is looking good. Who will get 3rd place? So still up in the air. Ash Best has to pit again. Jon Palainen has to pit for the first time. That puts Sparks in prime position. You just see how much time Clarkey and Maslina have lost as well, comparative. And Ruben and Jon Palainen, that's Ruben of course a lapped car now. He's just coming around slowly, collecting his 1 point he will get for last place, and any penalties from the stewards won't affect him of course. Now what can Sparks do? Does he need to pass Jon Palainen? No, does he know the Red Bull hasn't pitted? Yeah, he will have much better tyres, so it shouldn't be a challenge. DRS is still enabled, but you can just see the Red Bull sliding away from the apex of the corner there. Going to be coming on to the 33rd lap soon, and indeed Jon Palainen does dive for the pit, so he'll be putting on either the softs or the intermediate tyres. That promotes the Alpha up into 4th. When will Ash pit though? Started on the mediums, gone on to another set of mediums. He has to pit as well of course. Just got to say well done Jon Palainen. 32 laps on one set of tyres, and he has gone onto the intermediates, as has Vasteracer. So these guys clearly think it is now wet enough to change onto these tyres with just 3 full racing laps remaining. It's pretty much a mirror image of that time out. Means Jon Palainen really hasn't lost anything from that. Would have got passed by Sparks anyway, so he stays in 5th. Vasteracer, will he come out ahead of the other Red Bull or not? I think he's going to get it done pretty comfortably in the end. It's just not raining hard enough though, is it, for these intermediates? I mean, DRS is still enabled. Vasteracer not out as clearly as I thought he would be. Could see a three-way battle here for 6th place. Jon Palainen in 5th. Louis just serenely rounding the corners here. 2 laps remaining. 13 seconds clear. He doesn't have to worry about any traffic. Here's the battle out on track at the moment for 7th and 8th. The last 2 drivers on the lead lap. Clarkey looks a lot slower than these guys at the moment. Vasteracer seems to have got away, and we saw Maslina nearly getting into the back there. Ash Best now comes into the pit, so he'll be putting on intermediates, I imagine. Vasta Racer getting himself a penalty. Yellow flag in sector 3. Who is that for? Is it for one of the lapped cars? I can only imagine that is what it is for. Louis, 1.5 laps to go. He surely just keeping it clean, tiptoeing around. He will take the victory. Where will Ash Best come out? Will he come out ahead of Jon Palainen, who has got them intermediates up to temperature? And I think we are at that crossover point, but it's just too late to do anything. Ash Best is comfortably out ahead of Jon Palainen, so 4th position. Sparks in 3rd at the moment, but if it starts bucketing it down now, they're going to find it very difficult to keep it out on track. So I think we're pretty much at the crossover point. It was Ruben, I believe, who spun as he has come back into the pits once again. So a nightmare race for him in the Toro Rosso, who was hoping to really close up the gap to his teammate. It's only going to go down by a point. Nolan, despite being absent from the last two races, hasn't really seen his championship lead dented into at all. DRS has been disabled now with just 1 lap remaining for the front runners. Louis and Paris definitely got a big enough gap to stay ahead. How much is Sparks going to have to tiptoe? He's just 11.6 seconds. I'd be shocked if that is closed by Ash Best, but maybe we will see a bit of a run for a podium position here. Maslina, now that DRS has been disabled, of course, it becomes even harder to overtake at turn 1 and turn 2, but opens up opportunities for the rest of the lap. Just see how wet it's got all of a sudden. This is proper wet rain. It's deja vu from last time around. Pablo Joglar just going around on his own. Going to follow Louis around for the final sector and a half of this lap. He took the lead at the start, and it has just been a brilliant performance. 15 seconds ahead as well. We saw him in qualifying, how he nearly took pole position, I should say, on them medium tyres. Really hasn't put a foot wrong. Say that as he runs wide, of course, to be expected. He's going to round the final couple of corners as slowly as he can. It's probably a good job you can't stall F1 cars on this game. Fantastic performance. Louis is going to cross the line to take the victory. Laps Ruben across the finish line. Paris will come home in 2nd position. I said I'd be surprised if Ash Best did catch up to Sparks. He's only 3 seconds behind. This could be a drag to the finish line. Is Sparks going to hang on in the Alfa Romeo? It's the Timo Glock situation all over again here. Dry tyres on the final laps don't do it. So Sparks has just got no grip whatsoever. Ash Best just easily down around the outside. What a shame for the Alfa, just couldn't hang on. Paris got 2nd position, but it's Ash Best who will come across to take 3rd place on track. After penalties though, Sparks does get that 3rd position. Jon Palainen as well only managed 1 stop, 32 laps on them hards, good enough to get him 3rd place, and it will be Vasta Racer recovering from damage earlier on to take 6th position. Clark and Maslina will be the final few cars across the line. Clarkey taking 6th on penalties and Maslina taking 7th. But a brilliant win from Louis. We've said ever since he started finishing, his results have just improved. You're not going to improve from numero uno. 2nd podium in a row for the Williams driver. Great result for Paris in 2nd, and Sparks making it 2 races in a row for Alfa Romeo, getting on the podium. His 1st podium in AOR, in what I think may only be his 3rd race in all leagues without the line, so a great potential for him to improve as the season continues. Louis, Paris and Sparks, your top 3 here at the Hungarian Grand Prix. The rest of the order will be coming on screen now. Ash Best finishing in 4th place, did so well to catch up on that final lap. Just showed again how quickly the weather can change. Jon Palainen in 5th with his 1-stop strategy gaining 9 places. Clark is 6th in the other Red Bull, then Maslina and That's the racer, the only other drivers on the lead lap, and Pablo Joglar and Ruben involved in all sorts of carnage with each other. I'm sure the stewards will have something to say about that. Mick, Dres, Jocolat, Surface and Onyx Mer, the retirements. So what that does for the championship standings, Faster Racer was the driver who got the fastest lap. Almost status quo at the top. Ruben only gaining 1 point on his teammate Nolan, still 35 points behind the absentee Frenchman. Jocolat again did not finish. Neither did Surface. Faster Racer then will have moved up into 4th place in the championship. But again, Nolan, despite being absent, probably had a very good weekend. That's the last 2 races he's missed. 3 races since Canada, and it just doesn't seem to be affecting him. Hopefully, he'll be back next time out for the Belgian Grand Prix. I believe Ollie will be joining me once again for that race. Who will take the spoils this time out? Louis managed to just improve once again. A dominant victory around the Hungarian ring, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.